Okay, you guys, this is a video I've been wanting to do for a really long time. I want to talk to you about math. We have used a lot of math curricula in our homeschool, and I never intended it to be that way. We kind of had a good groove at the beginning and then felt like it wasn't the right fit anymore. And so I feel like we've spent the last couple of years trying to kind of find the new fit for us. And so I'm going to be sharing just our personal experience with the different math curricula that we've used and what we've liked about it, what we didn't like about it. And I also used two different programs for each of my girls that I'm homeschooling right now. So one uses one and one uses another, and I will explain why we do that as well. So in this video, I'm not trying to badmouth any type of curricula. The thing is, we used all of these at some point, and at some point they were good for us. But eventually, as we got used to how they worked, we made a change. So just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. I just hope that in sharing my experiences that you might find some helpful information, maybe as you're planning on picking curriculum, or if you're in the midst of trying to figure out something for your math program. So I'm so excited to share. My plan is, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go through each of our years of homeschooling and what we used and why we picked it, and then I'll let you know what we're using now at the end. I would love to do this video and open all the books and show you inside all the curriculum, but I actually have lots of videos about each of the different math programs that we've used in the past, and so I'll try and link some of those below. That way we can kind of streamline this video and make it not as chit-chatty as I would love it to be. All right, so let's get started. So our very first year homeschooling, I had a kindergartner and a preschooler, and I went with Horizons K. My oldest is a very sharp math student, and I felt like it was a great fit for us at that time. We were basically just completing one page after the other, and I really had no issues with it. I do remember thinking, oh wow, this is kind of hard for kindergarten, but it didn't really affect her in any negative way, so we just kept on with it. And so kindergarten was pretty basic. We used Horizons K, and it felt like a lot, but we did it, just one page after the other. So next we moved into first grade, and I just kept stuck with it. We used Horizons again in first grade for my oldest, and once again, I just remember feeling kind of like, man, this is like hard for first grade. But she was a sharp math student, and I thought, okay, if she's doing this, I'm not going to stop her. I also remember thinking that it was kind of a lot of problems. And so right towards the mid first grade year, and then moving again into second grade, so we used it for K1 and then in second, I started to feel like it was a lot of extra practice that we didn't need. So I felt like, okay, well, this is easy enough. I'll just scratch out what we don't want to do. And I have videos about how we did that as well. So that was kind of a really good fit for us for a couple of years, using Horizons, but then just scratching out the unnecessary. So it's our third year homeschooling, our third year using Horizons, and I'm going to say that this was probably the year where I started to question, is this really the best thing out there? And I kind of started second guessing myself. And the reason is, number one, Horizons was a spiral review, and I like that. I like that review, but I just felt like it was so much. And I was spending all this time scratching things out, and even though we were getting lots of review, it just was too much, I felt like. And my oldest daughter was in second grade at the time, and it was getting really hard. I mean, like jumping into multiplication. I remember one time in her second grade book, she was doing algebraic equations, and I was thinking, wait, what? This is second grade. And so I just remember it feeling really fast paced, but at the same time, she was doing okay, and it was working just by scratching stuff out. So I just kept telling myself, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So we just kept pushing through. The first red flag came with my second daughter. She was in kindergarten at this point, and we were working in it pretty well, but it was a struggle. Math does not come as easy for her as it did for my oldest, And it was, I mean, just doing one side of the page was hard some days. And that's when I thought, okay, there's got to be something else that can work. By the time we hit Christmas time, that third year of our homeschooling, I was like, this is not going to work for her. I need something that moves much slower, and I need something a little more hands-on. And so when my second daughter was halfway through the Horizons K, we decided, okay, we're going to try something different. So at this point, I was researching Christian Light education for math for my second daughter. I decided to stick with Horizons for my oldest daughter for the second grade level, but I was looking at Christian Light for my second daughter. And I was actually looking at their level 1, which I guess is technically first grade, but it was so slow and gentle at the beginning, and I loved that, and that's what I wanted. And so we were still getting that spiral review with Christian Light, but it was just moving at much slower pace, and I really liked it. So I switched her to Christian Light 1 probably in like February of her kindergarten year, and it was fantastic. It was so much better for us at that point. We were moving so much slower, and it was just a really, really great fit for her. I loved it so much that I looked at it for my oldest daughter, and I'll get to that here in a second. Okay, so we finish out that year of homeschooling, then we move into our 4th year. I have a 3rd grader and a 1st grader. For my 1st grader, easy peasy, we only completed one of the units for level 1 at the end of the year. We just kind of took our time with it because I was like, this is level 1. Let's just kind of finish it out for the year and see how this goes. So anyway, we just continued with that for Christian Light for her. So she was a 1st grader at the time. We started Horizons K 3rd grade, okay? And this is when I realized this is not for us. And the reason was because when it got to this math level, I was then thinking, I kind of need some help with this. What are they trying to teach here? And so I'd look in the teacher guide, and I would feel zero help from the teacher guide. I have a video on that somewhere, and I will try and link it here. But I felt completely unsupported by the teacher guide, and I just felt like it wasn't helpful for the student. I mean, you couldn't do anything, the student couldn't do anything independently because the workbook was just problems. And then I'd open the teacher guide and feel no help at all. So I got really frustrated, and I thought, you know what? I like Christian Light with my 1st grader at the time. We're going to switch to Christian Light. So we did. We switched, and it was great. I really liked it because it was, they teach the lesson in the book. So my daughter could literally just open up and read how to do it. And if she had questions, she could ask them, but it was very independent. And I really, really liked that. I also, using it for both of them was really great. And I was seeing kind of the benefit of using the flashcards that they had, the flashcard program. So I was trying to do that with both of my girls. And so that was kind of a good fit. Okay, so let's fast forward through that year a little bit. To be completely honest with you, the flashcard situation died out. It was one of those things where it was like, oh, this feels really beneficial at the beginning, but once you keep doing it over and over and over again, you kind of get bored by it, and you're like, do we really need this? So that kind of lost its way. Same thing with the speed drills. They have speed drills at the end. We kind of lost our way with that as well. And I don't think it's because they're bad. I just think that things like that are just, they get boring after a while. And after a while, you just don't even want to mess with it because your kid doesn't want to do it, and you don't want to do it. You just want to push through the lesson, okay? So we started feeling that, but that's okay. We just dropped those, and we kept going to the lesson. Then my daughter kept expressing how it was just a ridiculous amount of review problems. And she said to me, she was like, why am I doing this so many times if I know how to do it? And I thought to myself, you know what? She makes a good point. And I was at that point even taking some out, but now I thought, you know what, I'm going to take even more out. Like, do one problem from each little section. So if you've never seen Christian Light, it has a very quick, short lesson at the beginning, and then the rest of it is all review, and it's like 2 or 3 pages of review. So we were cutting out a lot. And then at this point, we're kind of three-quarters of the way through the year, and I start running into a couple more issues. So I'll tell you about with my oldest first, because I just kind of mentioned that she was mentioning the spiral review, which is overload. And I fully believe in that. Like, if you know how to do it, then why are you doing it 100 times? Like, I get that we want to kind of refresh our mind and maybe do a problem or two, but it doesn't need to be so many. So I liked that feedback from her, and I started kind of thinking, okay, how can we make this work? The other problem I ran into her was we started getting into division. So this is Christian Light, and it was level 3. And we were getting into division, and I felt like I just wanted to learn division. But the way Christian Light has it set up is it has these little bitty short lessons at the beginning, and it would be like dividing by 2. And then you would do a bunch of review. And then your next lesson would be something different. Some other lesson, and then a bunch of review. And then maybe two lessons later, you get dividing by 4. And there was a part of me that was like, can we just do division? Like, can we not just get little pieces of it? Maybe that's the math nerd in me. Like, I was getting excited about division, and I couldn't just do it with her. But I didn't like that little chunky bit of it. And so that, on top of the extra review, that started making me question, like, is this the best fit? And so then, at the same time, once again, I'm in a position with my second daughter where it starts moving too fast. So, like, if you heard the part of this video where we started Christian Light, it was super slow and super gentle and really wonderful, and we loved it. When you get like 3/4 of the way in the book, then it starts going, ooh. And I knew it would, because my oldest daughter, who was in Horizons, is super advanced. When we got into the 3rd grade level, it was just as advanced as Horizons, if not having even more things that we hadn't touched on in Horizons. So I knew at some point it was going to pick up, and it did. That halfway, 3/4 of the way through 1st grade, suddenly it was like, okay, we are moving, and we were not ready for that. My daughter was not ready for that. So once again, I am thinking, okay, I need something that is moving a little bit slower than this. So I finished the year Christian Light with my 3rd grader, but I was on the hunt. My 1st grader at the time, once again, it was February, and I was just thinking, we can't keep going. We can't move forward if we're struggling with like our basics. And I really had a hard time figuring out what to do. So I found Math with Confidence, and I knew it was hands-on. I knew it was gentle. I knew it was not what I liked. I am not really a huge fan of like so many different manipulatives and things. Like, every once in a while, I just want to open the book and do it. But it wasn't about me. It was about what my daughter needed at the time. So I decided to do Math with Confidence with her. And I actually did level 1. So even though we had completed 3/4 of level 1 of Christian Light, I knew that we needed to go back. So I did 1st grade again with her, and it was the best decision we made. I loved it so much, the way that it was set up, the way they were memorizing facts, that I actually purchased Addition Facts That Stick by the same author for my older child, because I loved the way that they were teaching how to memorize the facts. So at this point, my oldest daughter is now learning facts with Addition Facts That Stick, which I highly recommend. We moved straight from that into Subtraction Facts That Stick. Once again, superb. I have Multiplication Facts That Stick, but I'm holding off on that till like summer because I can't quite figure out how to fit it into my day. But I loved those programs. It was so much better than the flashcards and the drills. So, so wonderful. I highly recommend those. Okay, so we did that. We're doing 1st grade Math with Confidence. And it was an adjustment. It was very hard for me to get used to that type of math teaching because my oldest daughter was just, you just kind of like, okay, here's how you do this. Okay, she got it, and then she did it. And we played games every once in a while, but it wasn't like anything extravagant. But my second daughter, I really needed to follow what the curriculum was doing. And if you've seen any of my videos, you know I like to do my own thing. So that was a new thing for me, but I have fully loved the program. So we kept going with first grade. We schooled through the summer to finish the first grade book so that when she was starting her second grade year, she could do Math with Confidence Level 2. And so now we're in this year, talking about her. We are still in Math with Confidence Level 2. We are loving it. I plan to continue it next year. I have also started my 5-year-old on Math with Confidence Level K because I just love how this program is set up so much. I wish I could see what her levels would be like when she got to 5th and 6th grade, but she just hasn't written those books yet because I really would love for my oldest daughter to maybe try this kind of approach because I think it would challenge her in a way because her mind is more like me, you know, just do it and get it done. But I really like the visuals and the concepts that she teaches. Like sometimes I get confused. I mean, this is 2nd grade math and I'm like, wait, why is she doing it like this? But then we go through it and I think, this is wonderful. So we love Math with Confidence. Using it for my 2nd grader, plan to continue. Going to use it for my 5-year-old. She just started Level K. I mean, we're like 2 lessons in. Okay, so now let's go back to my oldest. We did Christian Light 3. We finished the year off with that, and I started hunting for something new. I found Apologia Math. Here's why I picked it. Number one, I thought it was pretty. It had really pretty colors. After using Christian Light, which is very black and white, nothing fancy about it, I knew that my daughter would like that. I liked that it was not spiral. I was sick of the spiral and I wanted to try the mastery approach. I also picked it because it had these application things where, you know, you could do like this project at the end of a unit, and I really thought that was good to experience math in a real life situation. So that was kind of my main thing. Oh, and the short lessons. I after doing Christian Light, which was like lessons for ages, these were super short lessons, and I knew my daughter would love it, and I knew it would be good for me, so I thought this is a great fit. Now, I bought it, and it came in, and I started looking through it, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is kind of easy. I second-guessed myself, and I will tell you, I had a moment of weakness, and I purchased Math Mammoth right then and there, and because I thought this wasn't right. So Math Mammoth comes in. This is me just being completely honest with you guys, because I think if you've never told me that you haven't just spontaneously bought something because of your like insecurities, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you about your confidence and how you get there, because this isn't the first time. Okay, so Math Mammoth comes in. I open Math Mammoth up and I'm like, okay, I've heard so many good things about Math Mammoth, and I've researched in the past, like I knew about it. I opened it up and it was so overwhelming to me that I closed it up and I put it on the shelf and I said, I made a decision. We're just going to stick with Apologia. And we did. And at the beginning, when it's new and it's fun, we're like, yay, this is great. I was supplementing it with those facts that stick, the addition and the subtraction. So you're supposed to do like these skills reviews along with it. And I chose to do the facts that stick. And so that was going really great. It didn't take long for me to realize that it wasn't enough. I felt, for my daughter, I felt like it was too easy. She could finish math in like 3 seconds. And then there would be so many times when she would do a lesson and I'd be like, did you do that? Like, do you remember that? You don't remember that? But it's probably because it was like 3 problems to practice it. And so I just felt like I was constantly having to add more. So I was using this other website where you can get like these free worksheets, and a lot of times it was okay. We'd be fine, but then we'd get to a lesson and I'd have to go and print out something so that she could get more practice because the book wasn't enough. And it just felt too easy. So then I added a skills workbook from Math Mammoth. We tried to kind of like supplement with the Math Mammoth I got, and it was just too much. But Math Mammoth has a skills review workbook. It's very neat. It's just going to review, like one little review page. It would be great for a warm-up if you needed like a math warm-up, or like summer review. Ooh, that's a good idea, summer review. Okay, but it's really good. And so I was giving her that for a daily math something review, because I felt like, number one, Apologia wasn't enough practice, and number two, we were running into, she was forgetting things. So like we'd run into something where she had to multiply and suddenly she couldn't multiply double digits. And I'm going, okay, Jamie, maybe spiral review wasn't such a bad thing. So I started having regrets that I left the spiral review thing. So we are balancing Apologia math and the skills review. And it's going okay. I just felt like every day I'd have to look at a lesson, figure out, okay, what do I need to add to this to kind of give her more, or I just felt like I kept having to do more. Then we got to long division, and I started really thinking it was just too easy, and I started looking at Math Mammoth again. So I pulled it off out of my shelf, my little spontaneous purchase, and we decided to do long division. I didn't like the way it was taught in Apologia, and I did it through the Math Mammoth. Taught the long division unit from Math Mammoth, and it went really well. Suddenly my daughter was like really thinking hard, and I could just kind of see her brain working, and I love the way it taught it. But if you've never done Math Mammoth, it is a tricky math. It makes you think, and I did not have the teacher guide. And so my brain was hurting. All the word problems and stuff, they are challenging. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a wonderful thing. If you want a math with critical thinking, look into Math Mammoth. Or you have like a really like top-notch math kiddo, look into Math Mammoth, because it is, and I would say it is advanced, it is challenging, but it made my brain hurt. So we're at Christmas time with my oldest, and we're balancing the two, and in some of the units, I'm even only focusing on Math Mammoth, okay? And after Christmas, I'm getting ready the day before we start. My oldest daughter comes up to me, she goes, Mom, I just feel like my math is too easy. I don't feel challenged, I'm bored with it, and I just really don't like it. And that was like the green light I needed to say, okay, then we're done. Because I get insecure when I think about how many times I've switched math. I just do. And so then her telling me that was like, okay, go. Just look for something different, Jamie. And so I did. I went on the hunt to look for something new. But instead, until I found something, we were going to continue with Math Mammoth and keep trying it out. Because we had it. I didn't need to buy anything. We had good experiences with it. And there was no harm in just doing the next unit with Math Mammoth instead. Okay. Are you still with me? I'm wrapping this up. I'm trying to. But this has been a journey. Okay, so we have, I'm feeling like I like Math Mammoth, but I'm feeling like I have to think too hard. I'm embarrassed to say that, but like it's challenging. It's very challenging. And it was becoming, I have 4 kids. And it was becoming something that I needed all of this time to work through all of these word problems with her. And yes, there are there's videos that she can watch online to kind of teach her through the lesson. But there was something that was just like, this is taking more time from me than I want while having 4 kids. Okay, so I have nothing but good things to say about Math Mammoth. But in this season of life, it is not working. This is when I found BJU Press. I've really loved it. And here's why I love it. Number 1, there are 2 workbooks, which that might stress people out, but here's why I think it's wonderful. The first workbook is called the work text, okay? So I sit down with my daughter and I teach her through the work text. So I never have to come up with problems out of the top of my head. I never have to look for extra work or anything. I have 2 front and back side of problems to do with her together, okay? We spend about, sometimes it's 5 minutes. So I'm gonna say 5 to 15 minutes max working through the work text together, okay? Then the next morning for independent work, she does the activity page from the activity book. In the activity book, the first side is what she learned in the lesson. The back side is review. And I just pick 2 or 3 from each section, and that's what she does for her work. So then when we meet later in the day to do her check-in, we look at the work that she's done, and then we teach the next lesson. So I don't know what, I guess I always felt like you taught the lesson and then you did the assignment, and that was your math time for homeschool. This breaking up and doing it like lesson time, and then she does it independently the next morning has been such a good fit. I think I need to do a video kind of explaining how I do that because it's been really helpful. So let's wrap this video up. BJU is working really well for us. As of right now, it is February of her 4th grade year, and I plan to finish the year out, and I do not have plans to change it again. I would like to do BJU Press for 5th grade because it's been a great fit. Now, I will tell you, I don't even have the teacher guide because since it's the middle of the year and I was trying to save money, I didn't even buy the teacher guide. So I'm curious to see, I mean, I've looked at samples online. There is some script in there. So I feel like I would get even more help if I had the teacher guide. So I'm kind of looking forward to have that next year because then when I grade her work, I don't have to do it all in my head too. But this has just been a really good fit for us. It's like the happy medium. I want some review, but not too much. And I've really just liked the work text method, being able to work out the problems. Because have you ever felt in this position where you go to teach the work and they don't get it, and so you're like, okay, let's do one more. And then you have to make it up on the fly. And then sometimes the one you make up, it doesn't work. Am I the only one that does that? I don't know. But that's why I really like this, is because it's literally 2 pages of practice. And I just do it until she gets it. Most days we don't even make it to the back of the page. So it's just been really, really good for us. So I will continue to share our experience with BJU Press and how it's working out for us. But right now, it's been a good fit. It's been easier than working with Mammoth. So that is our homeschooling journey in math. That was quite the video. It was a lot of information. Like I said, my family is different from yours, so you might have different experience. Maybe you have the same ones. I'd love to hear comments from you. Nice ones, please, about your experience as well. But it's just, isn't it nice sometimes to hear from other people and what they're doing? That's why I make these videos. You know, as a homeschool mom, you're constantly making decisions for your family, and you always want to be thinking about your family, but sometimes it's just nice to hear, okay, how did you feel about that? And then you can pray about it and feel, okay, what do I want to do for my family that's going to be best? So whenever I make these videos, I'm never trying to say this is what's the best and this is what's right. I'm always just sharing our experience in hopes that it might inspire you or have you maybe gain some ideas or maybe like what not to do. So that's always my hope here. So thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking around. If this was helpful, like the video. I'd love to hear from you and what your math experience is, but I am just like, ooh, okay, I really want to stick with the math. I don't want to change it again for at least a couple years. So we're loving math with confidence for my little 2, and my oldest is working in BJU Press right now, and we're happy. We're good. It's working out for us. So you guys have a great week.